What's this? No pink? How come player 4 gets the color I want? Hello, Ghost Hunters. The shop update is here. I covered most of these changes in the sneak peek that came about a week ago, but let's take a look at what it actually looks like. As I mentioned in the other video, the shop is completely revamped. There are 4 tabs available on the left side, one of which is for coming soon and not available at the moment. Of the other 3, just know that the first time you access any of these, it will have an overlay tutorial to explain how each part works. This is useful information, so read it if you want, or skip it if you think you can figure it out on your own. For the most part, this is self-explanatory, and the devs have done a great job at including links to the page to make changes should you be in the wrong tab. For example, in the Equipment Manager, when trying to upgrade equipment, it sent me back to the shop, where upgrades can be purchased. If you happen to skip through the tutorial, no fear, I've included each one here. Many of you are likely excited about the loadouts. Being able to name loadouts makes it much easier to remember what loadout you had set for each. Likewise, the color changes for the gear helps players recognize who has added which equipment should someone add something you'd like removed and replace it with a higher tier. This area also includes information about your loadouts, should your prestige and the tier of gear you have assigned to this loadout not be available. Keep in mind that loadouts now not only save how many and which item you'd like to bring, but the tier of that item. So if you're like me and forget to add the tier, you may find your first game decked out in Tier 1 gear only. So remember to set not only the items and the amount, but also the tier. You can find this new area in your journal by clicking on the Pause menu, Options, and while you should be under the Game menu by default, this can be found at the bottom of the Game menu area. Players can choose their default cursor, their highlight cursor, which is the cursor indication that an item can be interacted with, like turning on a light or picking up an item, the opacity, size, and the color. Players can also choose their own color to identify themselves. Keep in mind, some colors work better with screens than others. Also, there's no pink. And not to throw any devs under the bus here, CJ, but pink isn't a top requirement for them, but it is for me. So for now, I guess I'm using purple. With this update, a slew of fixes were also implemented. Some of these you were probably aware of and others you probably hadn't noticed. For example, pathing for the Phantom and the Wraith abilities has been improved. If you're not sure what these abilities are, both of these ghosts path the players frequently during games. Ghosts can now interact with all telephones, which I guess explains why we've heard a lot less ringing in the past weeks. The grandfather clock ghost interaction now works correctly. I would assume that this is the chiming sound that the Bleasdale foyer clock used to make. Some adjustments were made to the Dots ghost navigation, which should make it easier to spot dots. Both the Ouija board and the Haunted Mirror got minor changes as well. The mirror will break straight away if you do not have at least 20 sanity when trying to use it. And the Ouija board will now drain your sanity after checking whether you can afford to break it instead of before. In my personal experience, this resulted in the board breaking, but not starting a hunt. Although I did test this on the partner branch of Phasmophobia, so I'd guess if this is unintended, it will be fixed before live release. Overall, these changes look and feel great. I suspect the days of trying to find your cursor in the dark or fumbling around in panic searching for your lighter or incense are mostly over. There should be a lot less frustration with the shop, and while I know some were worried about the shop being more confusing, I can say with a certainty it's definitely easier to use. This update releases on Thursday, likely around midday UK time, so if you'd like to try it out yourself, you won't have to wait long. Let me know what you think of this update in the comments. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and as always, happy hunting!